For years, one image has been burned into the public consciousness: a brotherly bond shattered in a kitchen, a necklace broken, and a dog bowl splintered on the floor. It was the centerpiece of Harry's memoir, Spare. It was the moment the world was told to view Prince William not as a future king, but as a hot-headed aggressor. But today, the silence that has held the palace captive for years has finally been broken. Prince William, the Tan Vung Zu Wales, has reportedly authorized a surgical strike against this narrative, and the truth he is exposing is far more chilling than a simple family argument. According to sources close to the future king, the infamous Buckingham Palace altercation was not a one-sided attack. It was a calculated trap, and Harry's version of events was not a memory. It was a fabrication designed to destroy William's character before he ever wears the crown. The moment this revelation surfaced, the air around the monarchy shifted. This is not a casual denial slipped through palace aides. This is a deliberate intervention. For too long, William has watched his brother paint him as a villain in a story that Meghan Markle allegedly helped script. Behind the calm cadence of William's public appearances was years of quiet endurance, watching his dignity reduced to tabloid fodder. While the public speculated, William fought private battles to keep his family together, only to find that the brother he once protected had turned his trauma into a weapon for profit. What makes this moment explosive is the evidence William is prepared to bring forward. We are talking about CCTV footage, security logs, and eyewitness accounts from staff who were there that day. Staff who claim Harry's retelling of the dog bowl incident was a masterpiece of narrative manipulation. The timing of William's move is no accident. He waited until the rumors reached a breaking point, until the lies began to impact his own children. He is no longer playing the passive role of the older brother. He has stepped into the role of a defender of truth, a defender of the institution, and a defender of his own legacy. As we dive into the details of what really happened behind those closed doors, one thing becomes clear. The story Harry told the world was a velvet disguise for a much darker operation. To understand why Prince William is only now choosing to unmask the truth, we must look at the architecture of the confrontation itself. In Harry's telling, William arrived at Nottingham Cottage already piping hot. But according to new disclosures from the palace inner circle, the reality was the exact opposite. William didn't go there to fight. He went there to stage an intervention. He was concerned about a pattern of behavior he saw emerging, a pattern of isolation and hostility toward long-serving staff that seemed to trace back to Meghan's influence. But when he walked through those doors, he wasn't meeting his brother. He was meeting a man who had already been coached for a confrontation. Palace sources now reveal that the famous broken necklace and the shattered dog bowl were not the result of a spontaneous physical struggle. Instead, they are being described as part of a calculated set piece. Those close to William claim that Harry had been looking for a moment of victimhood to anchor his future media deals. They point to a disturbing detail that was omitted from the book: the presence of a recording device or a pre-prepared journal entry. William reportedly noticed that Harry was repeating specific phrases, almost as if he were speaking for an invisible audience, trying to goad his older brother into a physical reaction that could later be sold to the highest bidder. This wasn't an argument between two brothers. It was a collision between a future king trying to protect the institution and a prince who had already decided to burn it down for a Netflix contract. The physical altercation that Harry described in such vivid, painful detail is now being exposed as a gross exaggeration of a brief moment where William tried to steady his brother. The broken necklace. Security experts who were stationed outside that day have whispered that the jewelry Harry wore was notoriously fragile, and the dog bowl incident was physically impossible, given the layout of the kitchen and the position of the brothers. But why did William stay silent for so long? Because, as a future king, he was taught that dignity is found in restraint. He believed that the bond of brotherhood was sacred, even if Harry didn't. He watched as Harry and Meghan's PR machine, led by the ruthless tactics of Hollywood firms, turned a private family disagreement into a global propaganda campaign. They knew that a violent William was the perfect narrative to make Harry look like the spare who was bullied and bruised. But today, the receipts are coming out. The witnesses who were silenced by non-disclosure agreements are beginning to speak, and they are painting a picture of a William who was desperate, not angry, a brother who was trying to save Harry from a path of self-destruction, only to realize that Harry was already too far gone. In the ancient halls of the British monarchy, secrets are not just kept in vaults. They are kept in the memories of the men and women in uniform. For years, these silent witnesses, the valets, the security officers, and the private secretaries have been bound by strict non-disclosure agreements. They watched in silence as Harry's memoir, Spare, turned the palace into a house of horrors. They watched as the world turned against Prince William based on a single, unverified account. But today, the shadow of those agreements has been lifted. Prince William has reportedly empowered these voices to speak. And what they are describing is not a story of a bullying older brother, but a story of a brother who was being bullied by his own siblings' theatrical ambition. One veteran staff member, who was stationed just outside the door during the supposed altercation, has provided a detail that changes the entire narrative. They didn't hear a physical struggle, they heard a performance. This witness describes hearing Harry's voice raised in a specific, exaggerated tone, as if he were projecting for a camera that wasn't even there. When William finally exited the room, he didn't look like a man who had just used violence. He looked like a man in a state of profound shock. Witnesses claim he looked like a man who had just realized his brother was no longer a person, but a pawn in a much larger, global game. More importantly, staff members who saw Harry later that same afternoon saw no marks, no bruised back, and no signs of a traumatic fall. This is the paper trail that Harry and Meghan seemingly never expected to face. In a household as precise as the royal family, every broken item is logged, every incident is reported, and every medical request is documented. According to new leaks from the palace archives, there is no record of a broken dog bowl being replaced by the cleaning staff that day. There is no record of a medical professional being consulted for scrapes and bruises on the prince's back. Nothing in the palace disappears without a trace, and William is now using this legendary precision as his greatest weapon. For the American audience who once valued Harry's raw honesty, this revelation is a cold shower of reality. It suggests that the dog bowl incident was not a diary entry of pain, but a scripted scene for a future media empire. William is proving that trust is a fragile thing, and once it is exposed as a fabrication, it can never be rebuilt. He is not just defending his name, he is dismantling the very foundation of Harry's victimhood. The truth is often quiet, while lies are loud. But William is ensuring that the quiet truth finally has a voice that the whole world must hear. If Prince Harry was the actor in this tragic drama, the world is now asking, who was the director? Prince William's latest revelations suggest that the altercation at Nottingham Cottage was not just a spontaneous family feud, but a scripted scene in a much larger production. Behind the scenes, the Meghan factor looms large. According to palace insiders, William's primary reason for visiting Harry that day was to discuss the growing concerns about Meghan's treatment of staff. But as soon as he entered the room, he realized he wasn't talking to his brother. He was talking to a man who had been briefed, coached, and prepared for a narrative pivot. Witnesses from within the Sussex circle have recently whispered about a disturbing reality: the habit of journaling for profit. It is alleged that during the months leading up to the confrontation, Harry was encouraged to document every disagreement, every slight, and every moment of tension with the royal family. Why? Because in the world of Hollywood PR, conflict is currency. The dog bowl incident, which Harry described with such poetic misery, was the gold mine the Sussex brand needed to secure their multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Penguin Random House. William reportedly felt the invisible presence of a recording device or a premeditated script during their talk. Harry wasn't looking for a resolution. He was looking for a, quote, he wasn't looking for a hug. He was looking for a headline. For the American audience, this is the ultimate betrayal of trust. We are talking about a brother who used his own family's private pain as a marketing strategy. William is now exposing how Harry's retelling of the event used emotional triggers specifically designed to manipulate public sympathy. The broken necklace, the bruises on the back, these were the visual cues used to paint a picture of a spare being crushed by the air. But when you look at the physical evidence, or the lack thereof, the story collapses. There were no emergency doctors called to Nottingham Cottage. There were no police reports filed for domestic assault. In a world where Harry claims to be a champion of mental health and truth, the absence of these basic steps is deafening. William's move to expose this script of betrayal is a masterclass in royal survival. He is showing the world that he was not the aggressor. He was the target of a commercial operation. He realized that day that he wasn't just losing a brother, he was losing his privacy to a corporation. The kitchen at Nottingham Cottage wasn't a crime scene, it was a film set. And as the final parts of William's evidence come to light, the world will have to decide. Do they believe the man who lived the truth in silence, or the man who sold a manufactured version of it for a seat at the Hollywood table? For decades, the royal family has operated under a code of honor that assumes private pain stays private. But Prince William has now reached a point where he realizes that his silence was being used as a weapon against him. This is not just a dispute about a physical scuffle. It is about what royal insiders call the gaslighting of the crown. Prince Harry, reportedly guided by a Hollywood playbook, did not just tell a story, he tried to rewrite William's entire identity. He took a single moment of intense brotherly frustration and turned it into a symbol of institutional abuse. William is now exposing how this narrative was carefully timed to coincide with the Sussexes' exit, ensuring they left as victims rather than quitters. The psychology behind Harry's claims is now being dismantled piece by piece. William's legal and PR teams are pointing out the Meghan handbook tactics, the use of highly evocative language like shattered, scared, and attack. These are words designed to trigger an immediate emotional response from the public, bypassing logic and evidence. But William is now asking the hard questions. If the attack was so traumatic, why did Harry wait years to mention it? Why was it only revealed when a multi-million-dollar book deal was on the table? The reality, according to those close to the Prince of Wales, is that the confrontation was a failed attempt by William to bring Harry back to reality. A reality that Harry was already being paid to ignore. King Charles and the late Queen Elizabeth were reportedly devastated by these accusations, not because they were true, but because of the sheer cruelty of the fabrication. They saw William, a man who has dedicated his life to duty, being branded as a violent aggressor on the world stage. William's decision to finally fight back is a turning point for the monarchy. He is no longer protecting the spare. He is protecting the office of the king. He is showing that while Harry chose the path of commercialized grievance, William remains the anchor of truth. The cost of this betrayal is a brotherhood that can never be restored. But for William, the price of silence was becoming a lie that he could no longer live with. The world is finally seeing that the angry brother was actually the one trying to hold the family together, while the victim was the one tearing it apart for a paycheck. The fallout from the Nottingham Cottage incident has long been framed as a private failure of two brothers, but Prince William is now exposing it as a public victory for a carefully curated brand. For years, William stayed quiet, while Harry described a scene of violence to millions. But the truth William is now revealing paints a much darker picture of emotional warfare. It was not just about a physical push or a broken necklace. It was about a systematic attempt to paint the future king as unstable and aggressive in the eyes of the Commonwealth. This is what royal insiders call character assassination by proxy. Every detail in the memoir Spare was designed to weaken William's standing and elevate Harry as the enlightened victim. But William is now showing that while Harry chose the spotlight of a memoir, William chose the stability of the truth. The Prince of Wales is now highlighting a crucial discrepancy that the media ignored: the timing of Harry's alleged trauma. Harry claimed he was terrified and injured, yet just hours later, he was reportedly seen in high spirits, engaging in social activities without a single mark on his body. William is now asking the world to look at the physical reality versus the written fiction. The theater of the absurd is finally closing its curtains. William has realized that his brother was not just venting his frustrations. he was executing a strategy to destabilize the line of succession. By making William look like a man who cannot control his temper in a kitchen, Harry tried to suggest that William is unfit to control a nation. It was a cold, calculated move that used the bond of blood as bait. William's internal shift from older brother to protector of the throne is now complete. He has realized that the Harry he grew up with, the boy he walked behind Diana's casket with, is gone, replaced by a commercial entity that profits from royal chaos. The palace inner circle reveals that William's resolve is now monolithic. He is no longer looking for an apology or a reconciliation. He is looking for total accountability. He is exposing that the dog bowl incident was a story Harry allegedly practiced multiple times before it ever hit the printing press. This wasn't a memory of pain, it was a rehearsal for a performance. William is proving that a king does not need to shout to be heard. He only needs to let the facts speak for themselves. The American public, who once saw Harry as a hero of honesty, is now being forced to confront the possibility that they were sold a beautifully packaged lie, and the cost of that lie was the reputation of a man who could not defend himself until now. In the eyes of the British monarchy, a betrayal of privacy is not just a family matter, it is a violation of a sacred constitutional trust. Prince William is now exposing that the Buckingham Palace altercation was used as the ultimate breach of this vow. For the first time, sources close to the Prince of Wales are highlighting the legal inconsistencies in Harry's narrative that have been quietly documented by the palace legal team. In the memoir Spare, Harry painted a picture of a victim trapped in a violent institution, but William is now revealing the existence of counter-evidence that suggests the entire scene was a calculated attempt to bait the future king into a legal liability. William is no longer looking at Harry as a brother. He is looking at him as a legal threat to the crown's stability. The depth of this betrayal goes beyond a broken dog bowl or a torn necklace. It reaches into the very heart of the sacred vow that every member of the royal family takes to protect the dignity of the institution at all costs. William is exposing how Harry and Meghan's media machine allegedly used defamation by proxy, feeding stories to sympathetic journalists, while Harry stayed behind the shield of his memoir. The Prince of Wales is now prepared to show that the Nottingham Cottage incident was not a moment of spontaneous anger, but a moment of institutional defense. He went to Harry to discuss the bullying allegations against Meghan, a matter of state and personnel policy, only to be met with a pre-prepared trap. William is proving that while Harry was playing the victim for a global audience, William was the only one actually performing the duty of a senior royal. King Charles, who has spent his entire life preparing to lead, is reportedly horrified by the revelation that his own son may have been mining the monarchy for content. The Prince of Wales is now making it clear. The truth is not a flexible concept. There is no his truth or my truth. There is only the reality of what occurred. By exposing the lack of medical records, police reports, and witness corroboration for Harry's claims, William is effectively dismantling the Sussex narrative brick by brick. He is showing the American public that the brother they saw as a rebel with a cause was actually a businessman with a script. This is the moment where the sovereign resolve meets the ultimate test. William is not just reclaiming his reputation. He is ensuring that the crown remains untouchable by the drama of those who chose to leave it. The price of Harry's honesty has been the total destruction of his credibility within the palace walls, and William is the one finally closing the door on the lies. Beyond the legal documents and the palace protocols lies a raw human reality that Prince William is now forced to confront, the shadow cast over his children. For the Prince of Wales, the Buckingham Palace altercation was not just a story sold for a book deal, it was a breach of the nursery walls. William is now exposing the profound cruelty of Harry's narrative, which didn't just target a brother, but targeted the father of the future king. When Harry wrote about William's supposed hot-headedness and aggression, he wasn't just talking to the public. He was creating a digital legacy that George, Charlotte, and Louis would one day have to read. William is now revealing that this was the unforgivable sin that finally burned the bridge between them. He is no longer fighting for his own reputation. He is fighting for the mental well-being of the heirs who have been used as pawns in a transatlantic media war. The palace inner circle reveals that William's fury is fueled by a protective instinct that Harry seems to have forgotten. Every time a new headline about the dog bowl incident or the shouting match appeared, it wasn't just a PR crisis. It was a conversation that had to be managed at the breakfast table. William is exposing how Harry's honesty lacked the most basic consideration for the innocent children involved. He is pointing out the calculated nature of the betrayal, how the Sussexes allegedly knew that by painting William as dangerous, they were effectively casting a shadow over the entire line of succession. This is why William's response is now so absolute. He has realized that you cannot negotiate with someone who is willing to sacrifice their nephew's and niece's peace for a narrative pivot. For the American audience, this part of the story hits the hardest. It's about the sanctity of the family unit and the responsibility of the elder generation to protect the younger. William is proving that a true leader is defined by what he shields, not what he exposes. He is showing that while Harry was busy being the victim, William was being the anchor. He has documented the emotional toll this has taken, not just on himself, but on Catherine, who had to hold the family together while facing her own health challenges. William's resolve to expose the Buckingham Palace lie is his way of telling his children and the world that the truth is worth fighting for. He is ensuring that when George, Charlotte, and Louis look back, they won't see a father who was a bully. They will see a father who stood his ground against a global campaign of deception. The door to reconciliation isn't just closed, it is locked, and William has thrown away the key to protect the future of the crown. For years, the United States was the safe harbor for the Sussex narrative. It was the land where Harry's story of the persecuted prince found a captive and sympathetic audience. But Prince William's decision to unmask the truth behind the Buckingham Palace altercation has triggered a seismic shift across the Atlantic. The American public, particularly the generation that values hard work, integrity, and family loyalty, is beginning to experience what experts call Sussex fatigue. They are moving away from the drama of grievance and toward the clarity of evidence. William is exposing that the victim brand Harry and Meghan built was not founded on a quest for freedom, but on a carefully managed campaign of misinformation. When the dog bowl incident is revealed as a fabrication, the entire house of cards begins to tumble. The Prince of Wales is now witnessing a historic reversal in the court of public opinion. He is proving that authenticity cannot be manufactured in a Hollywood studio. While Harry used his truth as a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder, William has treated the actual truth as a sacred trust. He is exposing how the Sussexes' PR strategy relied on the silence of the palace to thrive. They assumed William would never fight back, that he would stay trapped in the never complain, never explain box forever. But by choosing this moment to speak, William has effectively cut off the oxygen to Harry's media empire. The American audience is now asking the one question the Sussexes feared most. If they lied about the dog bowl, what else did they lie about? This shift is not just about a family feud. It is about the reset of the British monarchy's global image. William is emerging not as the angry brother Harry described, but as the principled protector. He is showing that a modern king must be able to navigate a world of digital lies with surgical precision. The palace archives, the witness testimonies, and the physical logs are now the pillars of a new era of transparency. William has realized that to save the future, he had to settle the accounts of the past. He is proving that the crown does not need to chase headlines to be relevant. It only needs to remain the steady anchor in a sea of manufactured chaos. The era of the Sussex monopoly on the royal narrative is officially over. William has reclaimed the microphone, and for the first time in years, the world is listening to the man who actually has the receipts. As the dust settles on this historic revelation, one thing is undeniably clear. The House of Windsor has undergone a permanent transformation. Prince William's decision to expose the truth behind the Buckingham Palace altercation was not an act of revenge. It was an act of preservation. He has effectively ended the era where the royal family remains a silent target for commercialized attacks. By standing his ground and unmasking the fabrications in Harry's narrative, William has defined the terms of his future reign. He is a king who values the truth over the headlines, and the sanctity of the family over the profits of a memoir. The dog bowl incident, once the cornerstone of Harry's victimhood, has become the monument to his own loss of credibility. The consequences of this showdown reach far beyond the palace walls. For Harry and Meghan, the unmasking of the truth marks the end of their monopoly on the royal story. They are no longer the only ones with a microphone. William has shown that the firm can be modern, transparent, and resilient without sacrificing its dignity. He has sent a clear message to Montecito and to the world. The crown will no longer be used as a shield for someone else's ambition. The brotherhood that once defined a generation of royals is now a closed book, a casualty of a war that William did not start, but one that he has certainly finished. For you, the viewers, this story is a reminder that in a world of digital shadows and manufactured drama, the truth is the only thing that lasts. William has reclaimed his narrative, protected his children, and secured the legacy of his father's reign. He has proven that a true leader is someone who can withstand the storm of lies and emerge with their integrity intact. As we close this chapter, we see a Prince of Wales who is more than just a future king. He is the emotional core of a monarchy that has learned to fight for its survival. Thank you for following this journey into the heart of the royal truth. The battle of the brothers may be over, but the story of the crown continues, stronger and more united than ever before. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned as we continue to decode the power, the secrets, and the future of the House of Windsor. The truth is out, the door is closed, and the legacy remains untouchable.